Hello and welcome to the second installment of the Bizmo Racing Amateur Supersport budget build. So in our first iteration of the build and the first video, what we did is we stripped the bike down, just took off everything that we needed to take off to begin with. Before the first video, I had swapped out the shorty levers and grips for some OEM levers and some race grips. Over on the throttle side, the actual bar end is stuck in place. It looks like wherever it was threaded in before is actually just stripped now, so I'll have to drill out the end of that. But besides that, some of the basics are complete. So at the end of the last video, what I had done is I had gone in and I had mocked up the armor body's fairings, and I noticed that on the bottom here, my original plan was to run the stock cat with the R55 slip-on here for the first little while, just because it would be nice and quiet. But I noticed that the cat itself extends, it protrudes too far towards the rear wheel. So the lip that is on the bottom of the armor body's belly pan, which keeps the oil or coolant or whatever it is in the pan, actually interferes with the cat itself. So I'm currently on the hunt for a full exhaust, which I was planning on doing at some point anyway, but it's really just sort of pushed that to being something that I have to do right away. So I'm looking at a few different options right now. I've found a really fantastic deal on a full aero titanium system on eBay. It's brand new, old stock. And then my other options would be, I've been looking to try and find something that's used via some of the local forums and so on, local Facebook posts. But I've been striking out a bit. And of course, my other option, if that aero does sell, would be to go with a Hindle, support Ontario made. Of course, that's kind of what I want to do. They're great price. They seem to perform really well as well. So that would be my other option in case that aero did fall through. So what are we going to be looking at today? Well, we're going to just go in and install a little bit of crash protection. So I managed to pick up the GB Racing set just through my local Honda Power Sports dealer by me here in Ottawa. They arrived pretty quickly. They appear to be really nice. I took them out of the bag. The packaging is really nice. I think they're sort of they seem to be the gold standard when it comes to crash protection. So I figured, well, might as well just buy it once. And I also noticed that the Yoshimura kit that I have on my GSXR 1000 is actually discontinued for the 08 to 2010 GSXR 600. So I decided to go with something different rather than trying to find a discontinued one from the Yoshimura side. I didn't really want to piece it together myself. So I just decided, we'll just go with the GB Racing to begin with. So what we'll do here is I'll read the instructions. I think it's really easy. I've done the same thing on my GSXR 1000 with the Yoshimura kit. So it'll just be replacing some of the bolts with some extended ones that'll fit over the covers. So I'll switch over here to a bit of a time lapse. We'll see if this works. I've never done that before, but we'll switch over to time lapse here and get it done. So there we have it. It's pretty easy install for the GB Racing covers. Really all you need is an 8mm socket. The installation is really simple. You're just removing the bolts that were previously there and then using the provided extended bolts to get it back on there. In terms of the torque, it's super low. I use the use the torque wrench in the hands to hopefully get about 10 foot-pounds, I think it was calling for. So really not tight at all. And then on the other side, the only thing that was a bit of a pain was the this one up here. There is a existing washer that comes with the bolt that you put in. So you just have to take that washer off and then place it in between for the next one. In terms of the information for that, that's all provided in the instructions that GB Racing has. All in all, I think these are awesome. They look great, they feel great. We'll see how well they crash. I've crashed before without sliders or without any protection, I should say, which you can see, I think, on one of my other videos, and I blew a hole right through the bottom. So I don't want to be that person again. Right after I did that, I bought the Yoshimura kit for my GSXR 1000, and it's going to be absolutely essential here. So in terms of next steps, really the next step is going to be, well, I'll be sourcing myself an exhaust to put on. But in terms of installation, I'll drill out the end here so I can take that off. I'm going to be running a brake guard anyway, so that's going to go. Plus, I'm not wild about the GSXR branded bar ends, but that's fine. Then after that, I'll be installing a full Bazaz unit. So I have a full Bazaz TC quick shifter fuel injection unit. And I actually sourced from somebody else who was selling one. I sourced the traction control light as well as the mode and map switch. So that way I'll be able to adjust TC on the go. Am I actually going to use that on a 600? I don't know. I think I have way more improvement left in me before I start playing with things like that. But at least I will have that as an option in the future, and it's something fun to play with as well. Comes with a map switch. I'm pretty interested to see how often the TC does kick in via the traction control light. I also have a self mapper, or what is Bazaz called, the ZAFM. That I am thinking about installing on the exhaust, whichever one I go with, be it an Arrow or the Hindle, or if I find something else that's used, I'll consider using it there. But ultimately, this bike is going to see the dyno. I'm going to take it to Richmond Motorsports, get Len to throw actual tune on it there. That'll be, I think, probably my most interesting video out of the series. What you're hearing is the fan turning back on. We're in February here in Ottawa. It's definitely not too warm out. That's why I've got the garage door closed and the fan on. But yes, we'll be getting towards that very soon. So next up, we'll be installing the Bazaz, and then the exhaust. And then after that, I'll be mocking up and installing the full Armor Bodies body kit from there. I also have a few other things that are just waiting, sitting around here. I've got some SBS dual carbon pads for the front. I've run the SBS race pads on my GSXR 1000 and my R6, and actually my CBR 600 track bike that I had before this one, and I've absolutely loved them. So I'll just stick with those. And so I figured I would try the dual carbon this time, because I've run the race pads, the non-dual carbon, on everything else and love them. So I figured I'd try something new. In terms of tires, these I think I'll probably just keep these on until we hit the dyno. But I'll probably run Q4s to begin with, just so I don't have to run warmers. And then from there, really, it's just going to be track time. Like I said, this is a budget build. I'm just trying to keep the price down. And one other thing I forgot, I've got a 520 conversion. So it's which one is it? Is it RK or Driven? I don't know. It's sitting downstairs in the basement. So I think it uses the Driven driven sprockets. I went one down in the front, kept the rear the same. Usually, I know a lot of people run one down, two up, but in this case, I'm trying just the one down in the front and the standard in the rear because Calabogie, which is my home track, is pretty quick. I just want to see what it's like first. And then I can just throw another two-up sprocket in the rear if need be, and then adjust the chain from there. That's fine. I'm not too worried about that. In terms of suspension, I'm just leaving it stock. I was told that the suspension was refreshed before I bought the bike. We'll see about that. I'm sure I'll work with some of the guys track side. I think it was Propulsion last year that helped me set up my GSXR 1000, and it made a huge difference in terms of exit grip and just my overall feel on the bike. I'm not the fastest guy out there, so I don't need every last second, but you know, it's nice to get a little more feel from the bike when it's moving around and so on. So I think that'll do it for today. Thanks everyone for watching. If you are interested in this sort of build, this very budget build, feel free to subscribe or like. Either way, I'm really doing this for my own enjoyment, so I appreciate any support there. Thanks very much, and talk to you later.